All right. Hello, everybody. Hey, Rick.
Hello.
And of course, StreamYard saying zero. Oh, okay, now it's marking me down as one. All right. So, anyways, I guess we can talk for a few minutes here, give people a chance to come in. Hopefully, they got the message out there. So, hopefully, the
Yeah.
people could be coming in soon. So, you were saying you got a couple of your videos done already?
Yeah, well, as you may or may not know, I was on Drawn and Quartered Ultimate Edition, which is the only Drawn and Quartered at the moment, a few weeks ago, and some people did some drawings up, and I've been coloring them up off air. I'm recording myself coloring them up, and then shorten them down, time lapse them, real fast, and then do some speech behind. That way while I'm coloring them, I can listen to music, take the music out,
Mm-hmm.
and then you know, say something about the character or how it was done or whatever, and then you know, put it up on my YouTube channel as shorts. Like under
Yeah,
10
because
minutes.
I noticed you haven't in about a week or so. You haven't done any live streams, at least as far as
Yeah,
I can tell.
yeah. Lately I've just been getting, I don't know, tuckered out or whatever, and I just feeling blah.
Yeah. But see, I think I gave you a wrench, right?
Yeah, I have a wrench.
Yeah. So if you want, you can feel free to like drop any links. Either links to your channel or links to your campaign
Yeah.
if you want to do that as well.
Oh,
Just so
definitely. Thanks for that.
no problem. Just so you can get your own promotion out there and help you out where I can.
Yeah. Yeah, and you said tonight we're going to be reading some comics from the Dell universe. Was
Well,
it Dell?
Dell Comics Universe, yeah. Now, granted, those not the computer company. No, this is from Dell Comics, Dell Publishing.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't think Dell computers existed
was
70
around
years.
back then, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, Dell and later Gold Key were well known for basically taking properties from
Yeah.
other areas
Yeah.
like newspaper reprints.
Yeah. Uh,
One of the features we're going to be reading is Bosco, who was a cartoon character that was started up by Warner Brothers in 1929. We'll be
yeah.
reading that feature. So,
Yeah,
um,
I've got a couple of Gold Key comics. I know they did Battle of the Planets. I think they even did Star Trek
yep,
at
they
one
probably
point.
did. Yeah, Dell and later Gold Key did a lot of they did a lot of like television and cartoon properties
Yeah.
as time went on. So, um, but yeah. So let's see. We're still at 3 minutes.
And so, well, I know we're not going to be reading them just yet. So, it's Dell from Dell. Is the comic called Dell Comics, or is it
No,
something?
no. When I talk about like the coverage, I'm
Yeah,
speaking more from the publishing name.
yeah,
So
and
when I say
so,
like Dell Comic, it's not
yeah,
a specific. It's the company
yeah,
Dell Publishing. So at that point in March of 1939, Dell was publishing 5 books at that point in time.
five titles.
Five
So
titles. So those
which titles are we reading from tonight?
the Funnies Volume 2. The Funnies
Cool.
Volume 2, issue number 30. That'll be the one we'll be reading from. Among the other titles that they had include Popular Comics, Crackerjack Funny Super Comics, and Large Feature Book, which I think
Uh,
later became 4 color. So those were like the 5 titles at that point they were doing at the time. But we're gonna be more or less focusing in on the Funnies Volume 2, because they actually apparently, and even though none of these books are actually available, they actually did do a Volume 1 of the Funnies like back in 1929, apparently.
Oh, wow.
But those books were not, I can't, there's no sign of any of those books.
So I guess the popular one would have been ones from comic strips or whatever.
Because they, in the early days, and you'll see them when we look through the book as well. You'll see some of the titles, but depending upon the company, and then Centaur started out as comics magazine. Centaur at this point in time was the most prolific of the comic book companies. They were publishing at the time 7 titles.
Ooh, wow, big money, big run.
Funny Pages.
That's a small run for a company nowadays.
Funny Pages, Funny Picture Stories, Star Comics, Star Ranger Funnies, Teen Detective Funnies, Amazing Mystery Funnies, and now Teen Comics, which we'll be looking at the first issue of that. Well, we won't be going to, because as I said, they don't have the actual comic. We'll just be looking over a summary. We'll be starting with that before getting into actually reading over into Dell. So,
So with the super comics from Dell, would have that been superhero type stuff, or do you know?
It was anthology. It was like back then. A lot of the anthologies were what I would call hodgepodge anthologies because they had a little bit of a mix of everything.
Oh,
now, of course, a lot of times in the very early days, you go all the way back to like 33, 34, 35, 36. You had a lot of, had some companies that were doing primarily reprints of newspaper strips. By this point, we're starting to mix it up. You had a lot of the books were starting to mix it up where you'd have portions of the book that would have newspaper reprints, and some original material. And you'll see that even when we look over King Comics, look for some of the information on King Comics. We'll look at that as I'll kind of do some of that too.
I'm just I'm trying to fill the space with asking questions about the company that we're gonna go in.
I'm fine with that. You know something, Rick? You know what my ultimate goal is? It's to spark enough interest to where people are wanting to talk more about this stuff. I'm happy. I'm happy that you're engaged like this. That you're asking questions. Woody's here. Hey, Woody.
Yeah, hey, Woody. Yeah, I've went and got myself a whole bunch of older comics, mainly DC and Marvel. Because of the superhero stuff. That's what I've been interested in. But it's nice to about these other ones. I've got a few other ones because trying to get say older DC stuff because they own say Captain Marvel, the real Captain Marvel. You end up getting stuff.
They didn't necessarily own Captain Marvel at the very beginning. That was Fawcett Comics.
Yeah, but that's what I was just going to say because he was owned by Fawcett Comics at the beginning. You end up getting Fawcett Comics stuff mixed in with the DC stuff when you go, looking to get this stuff online by sailing the 7 seas online, if you would, And these are comics that you can't get anymore. So I think it's all right to go get a comic from 80 years ago. Well, you can probably get them, but you're gonna pay mucho dinero.
Let's see. Well, now we're up to I'm up to 5 likes. Well, technically 4 because of how YouTube works it, but so Woody's here with us. So looks like we have some people here. So no, I guess it would be a good time to get started on our coverage then.
Okay.
Are you ready, Rick?
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to look over some summary information on King Comics #1 here. I'll be sharing this.
Oh, Keen Comics. I thought you were saying King, as in a crown.
No. Now there is a title called King Comics. That's from David McKay Publications, and we won't, that one was the original comic book home of Popeye, believe it or
Uh,
not. But that's for another day, obviously. So,
I wonder how keen these comics will be.
yeah. Let's see. What are you saying? Finero if you less Finero if you read them off of public archives like Mike does. Um, some of these nice Popeye, yeah. Well, like Comics Book Plus, where I read a lot of them are like public. Those have the more public domain ones. Now, like
Oh,
there's another one I go to, but
when he was saying Finero, I think he means less dinero.
yeah, money.
If you read them off these public places like you
But
do.
again, a lot of what I'm doing with it too is just trying to give more samples of
Yeah.
samples of what's out there. You'll notice I won't read the entire comic. I'll like read selections to kind of
Yeah.
give you an idea of what was being written, how they were being written, and how they were publishing them and all that. Yeah, even Woody even corrected himself. Dinero DC. Yeah, Woody was
Si,
doing so.
senor.
Okay, so anyway, so let's get into this. So King Comics #1, which was a Centaur series from 19. Now May 19th. That's the cover date. That's the cover date. The cover date for this was May of 1939, even though it went on sale.
Usually 2 months before, I think.
Yeah. Usually the on sale date is usually about a month to 2 months before the cover date.
Yeah, I hate that.
Well, it doesn't bother me as much because I tend to go by the on sale date anyways. But
Yeah.
here,
Well, when you're organizing your digital comics, you try to find out when it was first done and published and all that. It's like, it was actually came out, 2 months beforehand.
See, right there's the cover of it right there. Making
Yeah.
Comics Centaur. You got the cow. You got a couple clowns sitting, standing on top of the cow.
Well, actually, I think they're behind the cow because I think there's a couple people in that. It's a cow suit. You see somebody's head sticking out.
You're probably right there. So,
but definitely funny a little bit.
now the cover here, of course, is okay. Now this is on sale date from the issue notes here. On sale date from the publication date found at the catalog of copyright entries, Part 2, periodicals, Volume 34, 1939, as Keen Comics. Of course, if you notice on the comic itself, they did a little creative spelling there with making it KK as opposed to KC.
Yeah.
See that? And the cover art was done by Max Neal here, doing the pencils and the inks on the cover art there.
Cool.
So,
I've never even heard of him before.
well, I don't think a lot of people would have, because considering again, he was doing work in 1939. He probably wasn't working on a lot of features that a lot of people would have known anyways, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this, is learning more about, so here are some of the names of some of the features. You'd have King Cole's Court, with all the caves there. 2 pages. You had 2 pages of Rig and Bill. Topsy Turvy, 2 pages. Cheerio Minstrels. Now,
I think that has nothing to do with the cereal.
No, it doesn't. Now, just a little notation on, because we actually have read I have actually read some of Cheerio Minstrels before, and by today's standards, it might be considered somewhat offensive, because now I didn't know this. Backo, when he was still co-hosting, actually had to explain this to me. Minstrel. Now, for me, I generally just simply thought a minstrel or minstrel show was just simply another term for a variety show. But
no,
but there's
Minstrels were
something about
the
what I
Middle
learned.
Age. From the Middle Ages, they went around singing songs about stories and that.
Yeah, but apparently, at least as described here, minstrel shows were also considered somewhat derogatory.
Oh, okay.
It's like a big part of the idea was, and in these particular ones, these Cheerio minstrels, there was, let's just say, some racial aspects to it.
Huh. And
So,
Cheerio minstrel sounds it'd be probably British too, because Cheerio, good fellow. The Cheerio that British people say.
and then you had 8 pages of Dan Hastings there. Dan Hastings, I think, was a detective. So you see a lot of these were like kind of slice of life
Yeah.
ones, and then you'd have the occasional, like Dan Hastings is a detective character. So yeah,
Yeah.
the Mad Goddess, 7 pages. River of
Yeah.
Death, 3 pages.
Yeah, and I noticed they don't know who did a lot of these pencils, inks, writers, and all that
Yeah,
colors.
they didn't include that here. Big Top, 2 pages. Red
Red
Star,
Star,
Penny
Penny Ante,
Annie, Gee Whiz.
Gee Whiz.
Now,
I'm sad.
and you notice too, some of these titles, right? Some of these titles are plays on words there,
Yeah,
like Penny Annie and Gee Whiz. It's in
yeah.
the air,
Well,
Eddie, Professor McScrewy, Wilbur,
Wilbur.
Run Kentucky. So those are some of the features that were featured in this comic. Of course, too bad we can't see more of them, but anyway. So just as I said, just a quick acknowledgement of it since it was the
Yeah.
first issue. This particular comic ran for 3 issues throughout 1939. By the end of 39, it was pretty much gone. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Woody's
Lots of
saying here,
comics came and go
I
fast.
remember Woody was saying here, I remember when I discovered Max Fleischer, Popeye, and Betty Boop. Yeah. Well, Betty Boop was another
Yeah.
character that was drawn by Fleischer Studio. Yeah.
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed, which was
A horse is a horse, of course, unless it's Mr. Ed.
all right. So now that we got that one out of the way, so let's go ahead now and move on to the as they sometimes would call it, the feature attraction, as it were. All right, let me just get over there. Let's see, comic books. All right, Centaur, Charlton. A lot of these companies are considered public domain. A lot of them aren't even
Yeah.
around anymore. Like I think
Yeah.
the only company on this list that I think is still around is Archie Comics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of those companies would bust. They did stuff for a couple years and they went out of business.
yeah. Let's see the Funnies. I'll get down to issue 30.
Issue 30.
Now cover date again. So this is the cover for the Funnies. Number 30, 10 cents. That's Bosco right there. You see the little creature in the derby.
Wait, what? Yeah. I'm letting him break in my new shoes.
Mm-hmm. With the little dog there, April. And then as you look here, Alley Oop, John Carter of Mars. Of course, John Carter of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs, author of Tarzan, who Tarzan is featured in Tip Top Comics from United Features, albeit for whatever reason they wouldn't allow. They had to take that along with Little Abner out of those, but that's again another story. Captain Easy, Gene Autry. Now I know
Gene Autry. My mom would love that because my mom was really into Gene Autry.
Gene Autry was another one of those Western movie hero types. And of course, he would later go on to buy the California Angels. He was for a while there, the owner of the
Yeah.
Angels, and then you have Bronk Peeler, which is another.
The Singing Cowboy. I think that was his title.
Who,
Roy Rogers was king of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay, so here we go. So how to draw? So by Hugh Harman and animated cartoon. Now, back in the 30s and early 40s, here, Hugh Harman and Rudolph Ising were a pair of pretty well-known animators at the time who would, you'd probably see a lot of their works, older works out there. Look at that.
People might want to stick to learning from that, or just pick out on learning to draw. Stick, spider, pig. I know, bad puns, bad.
Well, hey, Rick, and I don't know if you've caught some of my past shows, but one of the things I've talked about is many of these early comics like this, are more akin. If you were to draw some kind of comparison to today, they were more akin to the
My sense of humor.
The highlight magazines for kids, because they have a little bit of everything. They wouldn't just have the comic stories, but they'd also have like little activity pages like this and game pages and the like. So, so let's see if anybody's. Let's see. Woody's chiming in here. He's chiming in on quite a few. My mother, Archie Comics, maybe next to be served by the Duchess of Sussex. Bosco, let's see. Alley Pop and Alley Oop and Captain Easy were definitely in the Sunday comics I used to read regularly as a kid. Yep. Really pees me off when the stupid spell checker changes alley oop to alley pop. Let's see. Yeah, so Woody's quite active right now. Chiming. Yep. Actually, these lessons are totally valuable to people like me that are trying to draw these things without artistic talent.
But with technical talent.
Yeah. Ain't anybody else trying again, Mike, because I'm the only one here chiming in. I'll stop posting in the chair if
chat. I think you meant.
Let's see, and I'll stop posting in the chat. Well, no, Woody, as long as you're contributing to the conversation, I'm fine with it. I want people to be more engaged. So as long as we don't get too far off track, mind you. But but you really need to stop reading the chat, Mike, and just talk. Yeah. Well, I mean, I like to check back too. I mean, I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring you or not giving you or not wanting to respond to what you may have to contribute or anything like that. But anyways, you are right though. We should kind of try to
get through this.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Alley-oop. I'm going to enlarge this a bit to make it a little easier to read.
This is neat because this, I think this is, like with some of these titles of these things, like you wonder where we got the, these expressions like alley-oop, now sort of we know, because
you might
of this
understand why we have them or, yeah. Alley-oop by V.T. Hamlin right here. All right. So, here we go. Hmm. So that's why we're all here. Oh, the grand wizards say so. We've all got the blugus. Eh? Yeah, only I um would know now. There ain't no such a disease. Dang his um ornery skin. Them berry stands in your head a bone have got you knocked right off in your throne. Well, now that we've gotten rid of old Cuz, what are we gonna do for a king? Alley oop! Would would you made us a good king? Only he's got blue goofus too. Gentlemen, if it's a king you're wanting, you can stop your fretting right now. I have had the foresight to take care of that little matter myself. Oh, basically, in plain English, he usurped the throne.
Yeah, it sounds like that's what he's about to do for sure. He's about to say, "I've taken the care of that matter. You can make. I will be your king."
Gosh, the old boy thinks of everything. See, presto! Moon now has a new king. Exit the familiar bird hat. Look at that. He just usurped the kingdom there. And look where the royal palace is right there. The
Yeah.
royal palace is a cave. Let's see. Good honk. Now look at what happened. The
Eh,
great.
eh, I just noticing he looks a little like Popeye.
Who, the king?
Yeah,
Or the new king?
the Fez guy or whatever his name is, King Fez, King Popeye, Stone Age Popeye.
Uh,
You know,
the
like the
grand.
big arms and all that, big legs.
Oh yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but if you notice, a lot of the cave. Look at the other cavemen too.
Oh
They all
yeah.
have the Grand Wizard has made himself king. I never realized until now what an awful thing Blue Goofus um Blue Goofus is. Now to sit myself on the throne. I've waited a long time for this.
Does that mean he's had to go to the washroom for a long time?
I don't know.
You know, the porcelain throne? Still a throne, right?
Shall I assemble the troops? Hail the new king. To hail the new king. I suppose so. If we don't want to lose our jobs. Oh, look at that. Look, he just got thrown out. Royal Palace of Moo right there. My gosh, I'd plumb forgotten all about Queen Unpattyable.
Hello. They make names hard, don't they?
Ula, my dear, you, you had the right idea about the wizard. He just walked in here with the crown on his dome. Aw, aw, you oughta seen the old buzzard bounce when I threw him out. The Grand Wizard wearing the crown. How did he? Mercy, where is His Majesty? My stars! I never thought of that. By gum, something must have happened to Guz, or the Grand Wizard wouldn't had the crown. Now, would he? Come on, Ula. It's about time we were doing a bit of investigating. Meanwhile, just outside, as the new monarch of Mu, I want you guys to go into the palace and clean it up. And while you're at it, throw Big Beetle Broad unpayable out.
And we've got a couple new people in the chat. Critical Blast and Shadowhawk Talks.
Oh, hey guys. How you guys doing? Let's see.
I think we need a new page.
Yeah, well, we will in a second. Let's see. He's got a chauffeur that's genuine dinosaur. Hally oop 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 oop. Woody with the little dinosaur. Hail Mike, Cross Comic, Critical Blast. Woody. Hey Shadowhawk, Queen Unpayable. When I was a child, I named a cat after her. That's interesting. And if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream and see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. So with that, let me get ready to move on to the next page here. We move on to page 2 of the 4 pages here. Oompa, stop! You can't go out there. Now all those men, they'll tear you apart. Listen, my dear. Something's happened to my Guzzy. And I mean to find out what right now. Men or no men? All right, man. Come on, throw the big dame out on her ear. Oh, I wonder how this is gonna be. Let's see. Hey, what's the meaning of this? Give me that crown. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? What kind of monkey business have you been up to? How come you with Guz's crown? What have you done with him? Answer me, you old goat.
Well, maybe if you give him a chance.
Ula, it's no use. In spite of all I've done, I can't get a thing out of him. The old buzzard won't talk. I guess I'm losing my punch.
I think you punched him so silly he can't talk.
But your highness, Guz had the blue goofus. We had to dispose of him the Grand Wizard told us to. Alley oop and Foozy too. Oh, so that's it, huh? Oola, I think this Blue Goofus is just some more of the Grand Wizard's uh, propaganda. Come on, let's go see. From what I know about the plot, I'm sure you're right.
The plot of what? This story?
I guess. Or maybe the plot to usurp the crown from Gus by the Grand Wizard. There's where the Grand Wizard told us to put them. They can't get out of there. My stars! What a place! Good gosh, that guy must have been in a big hurry. Who do you reckon it was? My gum, by so fast. He went by so fast. I couldn't be sure, but it looked like the Grand Wizard. Ask him about Alley Oop and Foozy. Oh, Guzzy, are you down there? Are you all right? Yeah, yes, I'm down here. It's about time you showed up to find out. Huh? He doesn't sound very sick to me. Um, how about them big blue goofus spots you got all over you? Blue goofus, my eye. Blue goofus, my eye. These spots are berry stains that the Grand Wizard put on me. Hey, what are you waiting on? Get us out of here. Get us up out of here. Shall I go get a line and pull them out? No. They're all right. So there's no hurry. Say Ula, I got an idea.
Yeah, no time to get her husband out of the hole in the ground.
Yeah. What? You mean to leave His Majesty down there and take the throne yourself? Sure. Why not? And say, kid, you can be my grand wizard.
Oh, well, it's worse than I thought. She's trying to. She's trying to usurp the throne.
The next page.
I'm not sure whether I'd want her as queen, though.
Rick, if there's any comments of note that you think I might want to read, just let me know as well. If you see anybody like, yeah. But Queen Umpa, you take over the movie and monarch's duties. How can you do that? Well, why not? Who's gonna stop us, huh? Certainly Guz can't. Not where he is now. Hey, Oompa! Get us out of here! And then you see some of the explorers mark there.
You bleepity bleep bleep bleep.
Anyhow, we can't do any worse than the men have. Look at the mess they've made of things. yes, I guess there is something in that, all right. N- uh, now we're lots too. Now we've lots to do. But first, you go scratch yourself up some kind of grand wizard ring.
What he's saying, Upo is a feminist role model,
Yeah, all the way back in 1939.
or all the way back in the Stone Age.
Yeah, I guess within continuity.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I've a bit of palace cleaning job too to do. And look at that! Look, he's just going off on these people. He's going off
Yeah,
on getting
man.
on these usurpers.
Now, this is a bit weird. Like, okay, she does look a bit, strong, but would she be able to take all those guys? And would those guys just let her?
Well, apparently she can.
Especially back in
We
the
saw it
Stone
right
Age.
there in the
Yeah.
previous panel there. Girls, have you heard Queen Oompa is gonna run the country? And Ula is to be her grand wizard. Ula? Oh, so that's why she wanted my new doe skin.
We have a new person in the chat, Jason Myers.
Oh
He
yeah,
put a couple comments, but he's retracted them.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
hello to
Boston.
him.
No, we're not gonna be in Boston. Boozy, I couldn't remember that name. Oompa was a feminist role model. Is that what you were reading there a few minutes ago, Rick?
Yeah. And you notice the strong one's going to be the big, ugly chick, too. All these, other slender, good looking ones, they got to follow the big, ugly one. And again, that's going to be the feminist
think
one.
about it. Among the women, she could probably beat up all. If she can beat up all the men, she can surely beat up all the women.
Yeah.
Oh, Queen, I'm Paydito. I want to show you my new Grand Wizard outfit. Oh yes, Ula. Ula, come right on in. Why? What's the matter? Don't you think this it's all right? Look at that. Look at Queen Oompa's face right there. She's kind of gape jawed.
She looks like she might be, with that look, a little feminist or another word. Although she did have a husband, so.
Like it? Wow, it's gorgeous, by gum. I think I slipped up. I should have took that job myself and let you be queen.
Yeah, well, I don't think it would have helped your fashion sense.
What was that?
I don't think it would have helped her fashion sense. It's because Lupa actually has, an idea of what looks good, where the bigger lady doesn't necessarily.
But by heck, when I made you my grand wizard, I made some appointment. You know your stuff. Now come on and see what kind of magic you can perform on me.
Oh, suddenly just because she's a grand wizard, she's supposed to know magic?
Well, I mean, wizard, I guess is another word for wizard.
Yeah, I get that, but just making somebody that giving them somebody that position doesn't make them have that ability all of a sudden.
Hey, Oompa, come out here, will ya? Come on, what ya doing? Hey. Now here's enough stuff to rig out 6 queens. Say, tell those idiots out there to take a powder. Will ya? Will ya? We're gonna be busy. I'm sorry, but Her Highness is in conference and won't be able to give you an audience before tomorrow. How are we doing, Ula? Do you think you can get me fixed up okay? Oompa, you'll be surprised.
I think it's going to take a lot more than some clothes to help you out, lady. I'm bad.
This is a cave woman, mind you. I can't understand why Oompa don't come and get us out of here. To heck with it. Let's try getting out ourselves. We ought to be able to boost Fuzi up high enough so I think you got something there, old son. Let's try and see if it can't be done. So here they go. All right, Fuzi, up with you. Yeah, and make it snappy. What do you think I am? There you are, boy. Now play your monkey and do some fancy climbing. But cut the monkey business when you get out. Get us a line down here. Don't worry about the line. You'll have it soon. With the going like this, I could climb to the moon. Attaboy, Fuzi. But never mind the moon. Just now. Now, Your Highness, as your official advisor, I have a few suggestions I'd like to make with your permission. Sure, Ula. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. I ain't proud, and I've got lots of respect for your judgment. Now, as ruler of Mu, you must abandon your what I mean is you simply must adopt a policy of dignity, acquire a poise such as befits your royal station. The coast is clear. Our hope of escape at last is here. Oh, look at that.
Bop. Bop.
Bop. I simply must attend to the posting of a guard here. Now, as to the poise and dignity stuff, you were talking about, I think you've got something there. Go on, I'm all ears. Danged if we'll let any fat-headed old girl give us orders. It's time we were doing something about it.
Oh,
Stop your worrying, boys. We'll have our king out of that hole in a jiffy. Don't forget Alley-Oop and Fousey. What do you reckon happened if the gals catched us? Shucks, why fret about that? There won't be no gals out here this time of night. Pow! Wham! They were saying,
yeah.
"Come on, boys, get busy. Keep those hammers going." That was a fine idea you had. Now we're worse off than King Goose. At least he ain't busting rocks.
Well, if they get the rest of the guys, just not two of them, I think they can take two girls.
I think that's the end of the article. And I'm going to shrink this down to where we can see more of the pictures until we get to the next feature that I'll focus on here. Let's see.
Gene Autry and the Ghost of the Winter Ranch.
Wow, we're already at 51 minutes. I
So
forgot
what's the
about
next?
who he always spiels and rhyme.
So what's this next story that we got up?
Well, the next story I'm going to probably do is Bosco once we get to it. So we'll kind of just breeze through here if you want to look at the artwork here. Oh, look at that girl right there. That's a good-looking girl, huh?
Yeah. That looks a fair. Well, the one picture looks fairly much like him.
Wonderland.
Wonderful
of
Land.
Oz right here. Red Rider, Widget the Tech Story, Salesman Sam, Captain Easy by Roy Crane. Curious facts about stamps. Bosco, here we go. Here's Bosco. Okie dokie. Bosco by Hugh Harman and Rudolph Eisen, who, as I was talking about earlier, were a couple of cartoonists back in the old days. So, let me see. So there's a picture. Okay. Well, let me see if we can actually. I may need to actually go down a couple just to try to get more. Okay, there we go. All right, so on the right there. So there's Bosco with what looks like a rifle, possibly. Said Bosco to Bruno, "Oh boy, we'll have fun. We'll shoot some big game with my trusty old gun." But Bosco's old gun wasn't trusty at all. It shot a big hole in the ceiling and wall. Oh, look at that.
Ouch! That's gonna hurt.
Let's see. Here's Bosco and Bruno. They're boarding a ship and sailing at last on that big hunting trip. Look at that. Look at Bosco and the cop right there, and then Bruno must be his dog.
Yeah, just walk him by the cop.
Now, from what I understand, this is actually based on a cartoon that Bosco starred in, a few years earlier. So they did a comic adaptation of a cartoon. It's kind of one of the things where it's kind of because we usually see the cartoon be adapted or the comic adapted into a cartoon. But this is one of the times in which it's kind of reversed, the cartoon being adapted into a comic. Let's see. The captain said, Bruno can't stay up on deck. To Bruno, the captain's a pain in the neck.
Yeah, it looks like he's doing something other than trying to check the dog somewhere. Looks like he's sniffing the dog's butt.
Look at that, because you see how the and look at Bosco over there sitting on the. So, our Bosco one day heard a noise. Hully G, he looked down the hatch to see what he'd see. It wasn't old Bruno just scratching a flea, but rats by the score who died off in the sea. Look at that.
The rhyming.
How to read this because it's all in rhyme. We're sinking, cried the captain to all of his crew. The rats are all leaving. Oh, what shall we do? And up popped up our Bruno, and guilty was he of chasing and drowning those rats in the sea. Our Bruno today is a hero, my dears, for ridding the ship of her rats. 3 cheers! Hip hip hooray! Rick, you wanna chime in there? Hip hip hooray!
Hooray! Hip hip hooray!
They gave him a medal, the captain and crew. A banquet was served by the ship's cook, John Fu.
If that isn't typical of the day and age.
Our Bosco and Bruno are still on their trip, and Bosco is helmsman. He's steering the ship.
Is that a wise decision?
Look at that. He's kind of got caught in the wheel there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But now see what's happened. She's starting to reel, and Bosco is going around on the wheel. Look at that.
For him, I do feel.
Little rhyming yourself there, my friend, huh? Remember the ship, how she started to roll, and Bosco, while steering, he lost all control. Bosco lying on his back there with Bruno trying to revive him.
And he'll be put out on parole.
Let's see. Well, guess what it was that hit such a whack? A ticklish old fish was just scratching his back. Oh boy. This kind of interesting. The rhyming here. That it kind of makes it a fun, script to read, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kind of easy to follow. Too.
Of that, you certainly need a knack.
Let's see. And there's the fish again. So Bosco is doing some fishing today. He's trying to catch the big fish in his clay. Fish who rock vessels are really quite strong. He swam away fast and took Bosco along. Now there's a classic cartoon scene right there when you're trying to fish and the fish takes you with it.
Yeah.
When the fish takes you with it and the fish is a big hit. Doing a little rhyming myself there.
Yeah.
Remember how Bosco went fishing one day and caught a big fish who swam quickly away. Well, Bruno just got there with one great big stroke, and Bosco was saved as the fishing pole broke. The fish ate the fishing pole, sinker and all, sinker and hook, and they swam away with a sad, hungry look.
For sure.
At last thought our heroes were safe and sound, but soon understood 'twas a whale they had found. Our
Oh, it's not too
were
far right away from real land.
our heroes were floating with old Mr. Whale when they saw what looked like a snake on their trail. They swam into shore. It was nearly a mile, but they didn't know it was a cannibal isle. Oh, you know what cannibals are, right?
Yeah.
Meaning
They're certainly not
they're
with
not
this.
hurtful.
Once this revelation is found, they'll certainly not smile.
Our heroes are still on the cannibal isle. They followed these very strange footprints a mile. And then when they got there, who did they see but old Grandpa Stork with a very stiff knee? Ouch. Our Bosco and Bruno were all unaware, but old Grandpa Stork sees those cannibals there. Oh boy. And you see look at the stork right there. Look at Grandpa Stork. He's like sweating. Like he picked up his crutches and flew out of sight, left our poor friends in a dangerous plight. Our Bosco and Bruno are still unaware that cannibals follow them everywhere. They thought it was queer to find soup boiling here. Then over their heads was the cannibal spear. Oh boy. Now, queer in this case means strange or weird, not what it actually means today.
Yeah. I'm going to be back in just a second. I just want to go grab something to drink.
Right.
Okay?
Well, we just got through that feature, so we're going to wait to get to the next one.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I was already... Okay. So I'm waiting for Rick to get back here. Let's see. On our way. 4 Aces by Hal Forrest. Let's see those. More big prizes. Tom Beatty versus the Black Widow. A boarding house with Major Hoople. And let's see, Bronk Peeler here. So this will be the next one we do. Let me go back and check something here real quick. Just out of curiosity. Just gonna. Oh yeah. Just checking something real quick. Okay, yeah, okay. John Carter and Mars is after Bronk Peeler. Okay. All right. So. All right. So let's see. So how's everybody doing? Anybody have anything more to add to the conversation here? Bronk Peeler will probably be the next one we do here. Bronk Peeler by Fred Harmon. Let's see. All right, so let's see. So how's everybody doing tonight? Anybody still here? Woody, Jason, y'all still here? We're past the hour mark. Hour 04. La di dee da di da, la di dee da di da, la di. Let me see. All right.
Okay, I'm back.
So yeah, so basically we're gonna do Bronk Peeler here, and then the John Carter story is right after this one, and then Crime Buster. Those will be the next three stories we will hit
Okay.
up. I was just messaging RJ, letting him, because I know he was a big John Carter fan apparently, so letting him know that we'll be getting to the John Carter story soon enough. So, anyways, let's get back to this then. All right. Shock him, Bronk! Pull his hair! Bronk, what in the world are you two fighting about? He accused us of cow stealing. I'd rather not discuss it now. Then I would suggest you leave here until you can give a satisfactory reason for that remark. I'm sorry, Babs. Adios. Bronk, you're a chump for not telling Babs the truth about your fight with Bat Wilson. I don't want to drag her into the mess. Besides, we're not sure he did do that, Brandon. Oh, why would Bronk accuse us of branding his cattle? Just to cover his own dirty work. You see, I've knowed you was sweet on him and hesitated to tell you that I saw him branding your cows. Matt Wilson, you'll have to prove that. Saddle two horses at once. What are you doing over here on the Slash Bar D range, Bronk? I want to look. I want to look at the brand on the Dalton cattle. I must know if the same iron changed our brand. There's a big black steer. Now we'll rope it. I can't believe Bronk Peeler would steal cattle from us or anybody else. Oh, at the same time, near the near the same place. Well, he did, and in 10 minutes, I aim to show you his brand on some of your black Aberdeen Angus steers. His are all white faces, um, so that ought to prove it. Now get his hind legs, Bronk. Okay, but hurry. I don't feel good roping other people's stock. Now who in thunder would slap my brand on this Dalton steer? If you ask me, it was Bat Wilson. So what do you so Rick, from the story here, from what you've heard this far, what do you think is going on here? What do you think is going on, just based on what we've read?
Obviously, it has to do with some cattle rustling. Now, one person is obviously, I'd say, branding the other person's cattle to make it look like somebody else's cattle to try and frame them for stealing.
Hmm. So who do you think? Who do you think is framing who here?
Well, not knowing too much about the characters, but it is named off.
Based
I'm
on
not
what
sure.
you've heard
Yeah.
thus far, based on what you've heard,
Somehow,
who do you think is framing who here?
somehow I think Bronk's supposed to be the honorable guy, so I'm gonna have to say the guy in the red shirt that's
So
with the lady is trying to frame Bronk.
That Wilson is the one who's trying to actually frame Bronk instead of the other way.
Yeah,
Is that what you're
yeah,
saying? All right.
yeah.
Well, let's see if that pans out then. Let's see if that pans out. At the same time, Bat Wilson and Babs Dalton look down on Bronk and Pete. I guess that's the name. Oh, now Miss Dalton. Now Miss Dalton. If you don't think Bronk Peeler has turned rustler, look yonder. Bat Wilson has accused Bronk Peeler of stealing Dalton cattle, and to prove it, rides with Babs to where Bronk is examining a brand. That's him with one of your steers down. Come on, Miss Dalton. I reckon he'll have some explaining to do.
Yeah. And how you gonna accuse him of branding it when he's got no branding iron or no fire?
Interesting point. But then, if it's already branded with Bronk's brand, that may be enough circumstantial evidence to solidify it for her.
Yeah, yeah, but he's accusing him. It sounds like he's accusing him to do it right there and then. But he's got no branding iron, no fire. To heat it up. To brand. On him.
You're caught in the act, fella. Bronk. So it is true. But wait, Babs. I can explain. Gosh, she thinks we're stealing her cattle, and I can't blame her, Pete. I've been framed. There's no use trying to prove to Babs that we didn't rebrand her cattle. But you ain't gonna let yourself be arrested. No, but I'll have to hide until I can prove I didn't. You ride back to the ranch and spread the word around that I vamoosed. Were you about to say something, Rick?
No, no. Well, I just think he's stupid. Running away. Not at least trying to explain, see whether she'll accept the answer at first. Like I'm sure he could get away. If he needed to. Like I said, he doesn't got any branding stuff on him, so to have us steered down, at that point without, branding and to try and accuse him of branding it when he's got nothing on him when he's got it down, that would be when he's going to brand it, when he has it down.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, why
Yeah.
bring it down, if you're not going to brand it or if you've already branded
Of
it.
course, unless you're as he is trying to examine the brand.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. He's trying to examine, and that's a good explanation, I brought it down to examine it, because of this, and then,
here's this next piece of dialogue right here is to your to your point. But that will make you look guilty for sure.
Yeah.
That's kind of to your point you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah.
I'll chance that, partner. Adios. Oh, this is terrible. If I hadn't seen Bronk Peeler with one of my steers down, I'd never believed what Bat Wilson said. I just heard my trick on Bronk Peeler scared him out of the country. Ha ha. Miss Dalton feel plenty bad too. Yeah, that's just fine. In fact, she's going to feel so bad real soon that she won't want to live here. Then maybe we run this ranch our way. So let me ask you then, based on what we just read, Rick, what do you think is going on?
Oh, they're obviously scheming to get the ranch or hopefully think it'll go into their hands. But, like if she sells, could go to anybody.
No, but you think that's
Yeah.
possible? They're trying to scheme to basically steal the ranch from her or get control of
Yeah.
the ranch?
Or control, like they're thinking she's gonna leave just because she's a woman, probably. And somebody's been rebranding my cattle. I'm a poor woman. I can't deal with this. I'm gonna leave.
They're just looking, and they're just simply looking at her as just some weak woman. But my guess is, I don't think she's as weak as they think she is.
Yeah.
As Bat and the scheming Mexican gloat over framing Bronk, we find him miles away from home and riding towards a lonely homestead. Howdy, old timer. How are you? Bronk, where did you come from? Gosh, I'm glad to see you. Peel off your saddle and stay a while. Thanks, Fritz. Stay a while. Is just what I come here for. Area Are you in trouble? Are you in trouble? Has you had a shooting scrape? No, Fritz, but I have been framed cattle stealing. Yeah, by a polecat named Bat Wilson. Never heard of the gent. Who is he? That's what you're going to help me prove while I'm here letting my beard grow. Fritz,
Well, that should take what, a week? Well, unless he's me, which will take forever.
Fritz, I have a hunch Bat Wilson is another person, and I'd like to prove he's Spade Carson's brother. I never was sure that Spade was killed, and if Bat is his brother, we'll find out, Fritz. You're going to pose as a traveling photographer and get me his picture. Sure thing. By the way, you like the voices I've been doing thus far, Rick?
Yeah.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
That'll be easy. I'll pick up a camera in town. No one knows me. Shicks. I used to be the society picture taker of Dogpaw. Society picture of Dogpaw. What a career, huh?
Now, my question is, did he even, he used to be the society picture of Dogpaw. With what? I certainly don't think there was cameras when he was young. Or maybe I'm just, stereotyping.
Excitement grows as news of Bronk running away to escape arrest passes from person to person. It's true, honey. Coyote Pete told me. You don't say. While Bronk waits for the return of his old friend, whom he sent to photograph Bat Wilson. Posing as a country photographer, Fritz Hubbard slowly drives towards the Dalton Ranch. Mr. Wilson, you were hired by my father to run this ranch, but I'll not act on your advice to sign a warrant for Bronk Peeler's arrest. I think you're making a mistake, Miss Dalton. We catch him branding your cows.
No, you didn't. You caught him looking over the cows. You didn't see no branding irons.
And I think that maybe that's about what she's about to point out. Let's see how she responds to that. We found him with one roped, but didn't it strike you queer? He had no fire or hot irons, even though the animal had a fresh brand. Ding, 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 ding. Rick, look like you hit it right on the spot there.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Cupid for Rick Piper.
And she noticed that from back then. Thus, if you would have stopped and explained it to her, he would be going through a lot less malarkey right now.
Yeah, but then the story would have ended a lot sooner, I think.
Well, no, he still would have to find out who's the guy branding stuff, right? Who's
Well,
the
maybe.
sneaky? It just would have done it in a different way.
Yeah. Okay, miss, we'll just forget it. If a picture of Bat Wilson will prove Bronk ain't guilty, by jumping bullfrogs, I'll get it. Look, who's the old man with the giant looking outfit, with a quaint looking outfit?
Lorenzo just appeared in the chat saying
Hey,
hi.
Lorenzo.
Hey, Lorenzo.
I hope you're enjoying the what we're reading here thus far. And thank you for the like and share. And we can get some more people in here, of course. Some traveling drummer, I'll bounce him. Howdy, folks. I'm a traveling photographer. I take pictures so lifelike they grows real hair. How about it? I ain't no money to waste on pictures. Get out of here. Well, I have. We'll give this old gentleman 2 orders. Mr. Wilson, you're first. All right, shoot.
Boom! He's dead.
That's fine. Hold still. This is a break thanks to the gal, and I'll take 3 exposures so as not to disappoint Bronk. Now, Rick, do you know why I did that? Why I kind of covered my mouth that way?
Because he's more saying it to himself, thinking
right. That's more like in his thoughts, I think, than actually speaking it aloud. Obviously, he spoke that aloud, it would be a problem.
Yeah, especially if he spoke it too loud enough for Bat Wilson to hear him.
Well, he got it, but I'll see he don't get far away with that negative. So I guess Bat Wilson did not want to have his picture taken.
Yeah, why go to all the trouble? Maybe he just doesn't. You just say to your boss, "Sorry, I don't really want my picture taken."
And here we go. Here we go. Another big feature here.
Oh, that's the end of that one. We gotta wait till next month.
Well, probably not, because usually with these kind of reprint type stuff, I usually with the reprint stuff, I usually will go every 5 issues or well, this is issue 30, so it'll now be every 10 issues. But it's usually the non continuative stuff.
You gotta give me this website. I gotta go and read the next part of that story. I gotta see the conclusion to it.
Well, here, what I'll do here, let me copy that. And then what I will do in private chat here. Look, go to private chat here.
Yeah, I did. Actually, you know what? You should probably put the link to this site in the description for people to go check these things out afterwards if they want. You said that you're trying to get people interested.
They could probably look it up themselves. Just search Comic Books Plus, and they should be able to find the site themselves. I don't.
Yeah.
I often don't, because I don't want to necessarily risk any kind of copyright issues. I figured I may tell people, but if as long as I don't put the link up,
Yeah. Well, if you're putting the link in a thing where you're getting from reading from, you haven't done any copyright thing. You're just pointing people to the site where it's up publicly. It's not like you're pointing them to like a torrent site or anything like that.
Yeah. So let's see. Lorenzo was saying I had fun talking to the panelists, including Rick, and most importantly, interesting with the viewers in chat on Lorenzo's mystery.
Yeah, that was his stream from last night.
The characters remind me of Deputy Dog with your accents. I take it you guys were doing Southwestern Cowboy type. Well, for that particular one, yeah, because that particular one was of course, was a Western, one of 3 Westerns in this book. But anyway, so we're at like an hour and a half already. So let's get back to the story. Alrighty then. So John Carter of Mars by Edgar Rice Burroughs, author of Tarzan. Let's see. I may need to increase the font there a little bit. All right. After serving in the Civil War, Captain John Carter and a fellow officer, James Powell, located a rich gold claim in Arizona. Powell sets out for civilization to buy some mining machinery, but while still within sight, is attacked by hostile Indians. John Carter spurs his horse and rides madly into the band of Apaches, rapidly firing his Colt. Now, in this case, Colt is the name of a horse, but Colt is also the name of a gun. A Colt 45 is a type of gun.
Yeah. Well, Colt is how you say a baby horse or kid or but yeah, like you're saying in this case, he's obviously not firing baby horses.
Since both meanings could apply here, that's why I mentioned it. Right.
Well, I don't think he's firing baby horses.
Yeah, but somebody might think,
Yeah.
So, anyways.
But yeah, the guns. Colt 45.
You red fiends have killed him, but you won't mutilate his body. Stunned by the sudden attack, the Indians scatter momentarily at the instant. Captain Carter reaches down and grasps his partner's body.
Dun, 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 dun.
What was that?
I went dun 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 dun, and then I said, "Wrong show."
Right, let me kind of remind RJ that okay. Reading. I just sent a little reminder message to RJ that I'm reading the John Carter feature now, so hopefully he'll drop back in here.
Yeah, if he could still be in the chat just listening.
Yeah. Yep, I'm still here. Okay, I didn't know if you were or not because we hadn't seen you active in a while, so that's why I mentioned it. So. All right, so getting back to the story here. So, hotly pursued, Carter heads into the foothills. I'll take the narrow trail they might ride by. Strange, the trail ends right here at a cave. Well, at least I can hide Pal's body. But as John Carter carries his dead partner into the cave, a pleasant drowsiness creeps over him. He reels against a side wall. There's gas in here. I've got to get out. Unable to move, Captain Carter slumps to the cave floor. I've got to get out of here. He fights hard against the overwhelming anesthesia. Then something snaps. This can't be. My own body lays like lifeless clay at my feet. Look at that. It looks like his body. It looks like his spirit may have been separated from his body right there.
Yeah.
Talk about some sci-fi there going on, huh? And of course, look at how they censor it back then. They cover up his backside there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, if you go to the frame before, it looks like he sort of has clothes on.
Somewhat, yeah.
Or maybe that's just the shading, but with the shading, it looks sort of like he has thing. It's either he has some clothes on or he has no clothes on there. So where did he suddenly get the clothes? For the next shot.
Yeah. Well, you notice how they got his legs too. They got his legs to where his genitalia is not exposed.
Yeah,
but the leg is blocking off that particular shot there.
Yeah, but the shading on the one leg looked like it could have been shorts or something. But the next frame, you don't have anything.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's got some kind of like towel over the area there. That red star, Mars, the warlord, it's drawing me to it like a powerful lodestone. Look at that! It looks like he's flying towards the. With the suddenness of thought, Captain Carter is drawn through trackless immensity of space. Then, from the speed of intense cold, he loses consciousness. Now, mind you, this is, of course, well before, we even left planet Earth. This is like 20 years before Sputnik and like 30 years before the moon landing. So.
Yeah. And the other thing, I know it's not quite the same. It seems, I'm not sure when he was created, but Martian Manhunter seems like a reverse of Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter.
That could be.
Martian Manhunter through some technology was, drawn to Earth. Right. And, through whatever means, John Carter is drawn to Mars.
Yeah.
This is
interesting. Some kind of maybe astro projection or something like that.
So I'm not sure when Martian Manhunter was created, but maybe this had.
Martian Manhunter. He made his debut in Detective Comics, I believe I think it was in December of 1955. I believe it might have been. I'm thinking issue 225, but I'd have to go back and check. But
I'm just thinking this might have been some sort of inspiration for that. Somebody thinks about this, but reverse. I could be totally off my.
Well, remember, this is originally written by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Whenever he wrote the original novel, this is the novel adaptation.
Yeah.
So,
Well, again,
anyway,
even with that, reading
so
that could make you think to do the reverse of Martian, bring the Martian to Earth.
yeah. So when John Carter opens his eyes, he finds himself in the midst of a strange and weird landscape. There, there's no doubt in my mind this is Mars. I'm going to have a look around. And of course, this is back when they believed that Mars had a breathable atmosphere too.
Yeah.
Long before we kind of got a chance to study it. So, but an attempt to spring to his feet brings John Carter his first Martian surprise. Well, from the looks of
Yeah.
it, looks like he might be able to fly there.
Yeah.
Now, is it
Or
possible?
do super jumps like Superman.
Yeah, kind of like Superman in his early days. Now, of course, a theory here could be that maybe Mars has less gravity
Yeah.
than Earth does.
Yeah. Sort of like
Therefore,
Earth did to Krypton.
right, exactly. Here we go again with this. Wow, learning to walk here is going to be quite a problem. The lesser as we were talking about, as we just mentioned, the lesser gravitation and lower air pressure of Mars plays strange tricks with Carter's Earth accustomed muscles.
Critical Blast, RJ says John Carter was the first Superman. Gladiator by Philip Willey was the second. Doc Savage was the third. Clark Kent is the fourth, but best known Superman.
Okay, so well let me read that one more time here. John
Okay.
Carter was the first Superman. Gladiator by Philip Wiley was the second. Doc Savage was the third. Clark Kent is the fourth, but best known Superman. I guess Superman in terms of Superman archetype. But
Yeah.
as we'll get into probably next week, DC tried to corner the market on Superman. I was talking with Devilfly and Momentum Rex last night about this a little bit. How DC was quite litigious with in terms of trying to protect its right to Superman because how they would do it. The most notable being the suit they had against Fawcett over Captain Marvel. But as I discovered, they also went after their former accountant Victor Fox when he brought in the Wonder Man story, which we'll talk more about next week. And Lorenzo saying hi to RJ there. And I do appreciate any and all likes and shares. If you haven't had a chance to do that already, see if we can get some more people in here to see if they'd like to enjoy some of this content as well. With no effort at all, I go through the antics of a whirling dervish.
Whirling dervish. There's something you would never hear in modern comics.
Yeah, as I understand it, a whirling dervish was some kind of wild creature, something similar to a Tasmanian devil or something like that.
Yeah. It's just, especially the dervish. That that's a very unique phrase. Dervish.
Yeah, you don't hear that phrase anymore. You did hear it back in this time and well through the 50s and 60s, but by our time now, you don't hear it really anymore. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to have a look at that structure if I have to creep on all fours. Cautiously, he rises to his feet. is trying to maintain control so that he doesn't like launch himself again.
Yeah.
And peers into the enclosure. Got a glass top. Good grief! It's full of gigantic eggs. All right. Things are getting a little dim here, so I'm gonna make some lighting adjustments here. So I'm gonna go off screen. Rick, if you wanna maybe promote some of your stuff or talk to the chat for a moment while I take care of some stuff here real quick, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. So, how is everybody in the chat doing tonight? Thanks everybody for who's contributing to the chat and making this go good. We we here always love to interact with the chat as much as possible. And gain more information in any way. And as he was saying, I do have, for those that don't know, I do have a campaign on Indiegogo for some comics. Uh, the next Superman, if you will. Although I think there's been, I think what are we up to? Critical Blast? Are we up to past 100 different types of Superman? What would the Canadian Shield be? Like is he like 100th in line for being a Superman type? um. But yeah. My comic Canadian Shield 2 and new one Snowdrift #1 over there on Indiegogo. You can get them digitally cheap or you can get the physical copies. So yeah, go. I think anybody would like them, so I'd suggest going over there getting them, and of course subscribing to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Unfortunately, I'm not doing as much as I used to on there. I got to figure out. I've lost a little bit of motivation in doing stuff over there. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, I can get that motivation back or whatever. And how is everybody enjoying the stories that we're reading so far? I know I like that cowboy story, the rancher story. It's John Carter of Mars. I've heard of him. I watched the movie. I've never read the comic or the novel myself. So I'm definitely thinking I'd like to, probably read more of that. So what else is there to say? Yeah, I was on Lorenzo's show last night. We had a good time there talking about this, that, and the other thing. I got it on about an hour into it, I think. And then we went for about an hour and a half, 2 hours after that. Lorenzo's trying to make his show go 2 hours, and everybody just ends up talking. It ends up going like 2.5, 3 hours on them. I'm sorry, Lorenzo. Maybe I shouldn't laugh, but I know what it's like. I've have that myself too. Trying to keep it to a certain time, and then somebody comes on, and you're like, I'll go an extra 20 minutes or 10 minutes because this person came on, and then suddenly it's a half an hour or an hour later. Yeah, these comic shows on Fridays are really good. These are comics that I'm not really even used to, and it got me hooked on that one. I want to read the rest of the story, and yeah, you should. Anybody wanting to check out the stories, they are on comicbookplus.com. And you get to choose a lot of different comics there, old comics, and like it's the only way that a lot of us are gonna be able to read old comics like this, and learn about comics from 70 years ago or 80 years ago. It's hard to believe the comics have probably been going good for like 80 years. Um, or probably maybe a little bit more. I know for the I'm not sure when the first comic was done, but then there's, when they were really going ongoing, having one comic out is one thing, but having a bunch of them going on a monthly basis is different.
All right, I'm back now. And I did hear some of what you were saying earlier, Rick. I'm glad to hear that the experience here is sparking interest in you to theoretically maybe go on your own and look some of this stuff up as well. I'm glad to hear that. I'd hope that would be the case for everybody. To
Yeah.
spark that
Do you, there, what I was sort of saying about just near the end when you're coming back, I know there's probably like a very old comic, like 1910 or something like that. But when did comics really start going monthly? A lot of them. Do you know
Well,
that?
okay. So I started when I started this, right? When I started what we're doing right now on Friday nights here. Okay.
Yeah.
I started all the way back in 1933.
Okay.
Okay.
And how many comics a month were coming out at that point, or do you remember?
Okay. What I'll do is maybe when we're done with the stories here, I'll go
Yeah.
back and I'll show you, my primary source
Yeah.
that helps me keep track of it. Mike's Amazing World of Comics. I'll show you all that going back.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of briefly go through that so you understand what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously won't. But we'll do that when we're finished with the stories here. I'll show you guys.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Makes
just
sense.
so, just so we can get through the stories and stuff like that, because we're already at what? Wow, we're already at hour
Almost at
53.
11 o'clock. Yeah. And you've got another story after this to go through, and
Right,
then
I'm
your
gonna do
niche
the
news
Crime
as well.
Busters one as well. So, all right. Um, Enormous eggs, and they're beginning to hatch. John Carter is about to witness a sight no earthly eyes have ever beheld. The hatching of Martian eggs. So, okay, so this is going to be interesting to see what Edgar. I mean, obviously, we've seen the Martian Manhunter, we've seen Marvin the Martian, we've seen other people's, what they believe Martians look like. So we
Yeah.
may actually get to see what Edgar Rice Burroughs thinks Martians look like. This is
Yes.
going to be
The
interesting.
intergalactic space modulator.
Well, apparently, even Edgar Rice Burroughs thought they were green skinned.
Yeah. Well, little green men. We've called them for years, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, these
One,
these
one of
guys
the
don't look little.
one of them has come out of its shell. John Carter sees emerging from an egg a queer green, six-limbed creature, at least 4 feet tall. So right there at inception, that right there is what Edgar Rice Burroughs thought a Martian looked like.
Yeah.
A
Well, would it been
four-armed,
him?
green-skinned, 4 foot little guy.
Would it been him, or would it been? What if he got that from the description of the book? Since it was a book first, it would have described the hatching, right?
Probably, yeah. Six legged. Can these monstrous Can these
monstrosities
be offsprings of the Martians, mere babies, and over 4 feet high? The clank of metal warns Captain Carter to look behind him. What sort of monster can a full-grown Martian be? Say, what was that? And there you go, right there.
Hey, it's Odin's horse.
Look at the size differential right there. Look at how big that Martian is compared to John Carter.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he is on a horse there, but yeah,
RJ
he'd still be taller than him for sure. Couple feet.
I wonder. I mean, I would love to hear what RJ would have to say about this if he's still in the chat here. Because RJ did tell me he actually read the actual book, so
yeah.
And that was it for that.
Oh, again, another one that ends too early.
Well, the thing you have to remember with these comic adaptations, they like this. When I was reading over it, this was listed as The Princess of Mars Part 1. So it's meant to be the way they're putting it together. They're putting it together like a serial.
Oh yeah, I get that. It's just it's like any comic book you read. Like you just start getting into it, and it's like, oh, that's the end. Come on, where's the next?
Well, you know why they do that though, Rick?
Yeah, to get you to buy the next issue.
Right, exactly. Look here. Here's one of the activity pages I talked about. The Funnies crossword page by our readers. Work out the 2 puzzles below, then try to make up one of your own. For each original crossword puzzle accepted by us and printed, we will pay $2. So look at this. Here's another way kids would make money. They'd send stuff like this in.
Or adults.
Yeah. The puzzles must be your own. Must contain exactly 36 boxes, 6 across, 6 down, and must contain a complete and correct solution. So look at that. I mean, that's got to be, as I told you, these comics were a lot like a
bit of newspaperish, because newspapers
they were like
would
highlights.
have
They were like the highlights magazine for kids that we have here in the States. Except the difference is highlights, of course, is more of a magazine, so you had more text stories in there. Whereas here, these are comics, so you have more comic stories here. That's the only real difference. So I can find the cursor there. Tex Ritter, and this is the third of 3 westerns. Our Boarding House and Major Hoople, Salesman Sam, Out Our Way by J.R. Williams, The Crime Busters. This is going to be the last story that we're going to read tonight. I mean, I know we're already coming up on 2 hours, so. But I hope everybody's enjoyed everything we've been doing tonight here. I hope everybody's got a lot out of it. So with that, let's get into this last story, and then we'll start to wrap things up soon. All right. Well, I gotta obviously. That should hopefully do it right there. All right. The Crime Busters with Leonard Scarnese. Leonard Scarnese came to New York from Springfield, Massachusetts, and became associated with the underworld. He joined a gang of rum runners and gradually worked his way up among them to a position of prominence. Rick, do you know what a rum runner is?
Well, I would guess it's probably somebody who runs rum, drives rum. Yeah.
Now, you know what rum
Oh,
is, right?
yeah, booze. This is
Booze,
probably during
alcohol.
Yeah,
But
this probably
remember,
during
this is during the
prohibition.
time of prohibition here in the States. So,
So illegal alcohol, basically, he'd bring to people. Try sort of like what the Duke boys did. We're supposed to have been doing before, you know, moonshine and all that. For
right,
Uncle Jesse. Before
right,
they got caught.
yeah, right. This job's too easy. I think I'll branch out on my own. Best part of this racket is I can get all the guns I want.
And I think that he means muscle by guns in that case.
Yeah. Scarnese became a trigger man. He made killing his business. Triggerman, assassin, you know.
Yeah.
The,
The hitman for his
on a
people.
night in February 32, a group of men enter a drugstore in New York City. Go to work. He's the guy in the second phone booth. And you see
Tommy gun.
and shoot down Vincent Cole. Gang leader Scarnese was believed to be the killer, but it was never proven. As usual, Scarnese was well covered. The police knew nothing. Another unsolved gang killing without a clue. Now, from what I understand, Crime Busters here, this particular feature, was actually based on real life cases.
Mm.
Actually there were a number of features like this where they would actually take real life, G-men cases
Yeah.
and make comic adaptations of them. Hence how you got part of the issues that came about from when Frederick Worthen was talking about how comics would lead to delinquency. A lot of it was due to the violence and gore of the crime noir genre. So, the cold-blooded killing of two companions was considered by Scarnese to have been his quote neatest job. Thinking they knew too much, Scarnese invited the two up to his Mount Kisco, New York hideaway, and showed the two his gun range, well hidden from sight. I practiced shooting at that dummy with this Tommy gun. Watch this. Farnese suddenly shifts his aim. The gun stutters, and one friend crumbles. Wow. My aim must be getting bad. I hit the wrong dummy. I'll try. I hit the wrong dummy. Yeah. And of course, dummy was a common insult back then to people. You call dummies quite a bit. No dump. The police later found the bodies where Scarnese left them, and they left nothing. Scarnese, meanwhile, returns to his home where his young wife awaits him. The boys won't be back, honey. They've been delayed. Scarnese decides to take bank robbing as a sideline. Okay, Rick, do you know what he means by sideline right there?
Yeah, a side job.
Right.
Besides being the hitman.
Yeah.
Shenley, he needs a little extra cash. Yeah, the
Yeah.
bank's gonna give it to me. Yeah, at gunpoint.
I got plans, boys. We're going to stick up the Bensonhurst Bank in Brooklyn. And on July 7th, 32, that's 1932, Scarnese, so basically 90 years ago. That's like
Yeah,
90 years ago from today. Scarnese and 7 other gunmen enter the bank. That right there. The crime busters right there. Entering crime back in the rum running era, Leonard Scarnese became a professional killer. He operated so successfully, the police never even so much as suspected his existence. Then he decided to rob banks as a sideline, or side job, as we might call it today. Over
yeah.
against the wall, over against the wall, everybody. What was that, Rick?
Sounding like till he did that. In other words, starting to rob banks was a stupid idea. He came to their attention then.
Oh, you think that's what they were basically trying to say here?
Yeah.
How they said that? Oh, well, I guess we'll wait and see. Scarnese took charge of Vice President Beryl. Get into that vault. The banker enters the vault, but as Scarnese swings the door, he slips. Uh-oh. I'm gonna kill both of us. They ain't gonna take me. And sprawls into the vault. The door slams shut, locking both men in. Then he decides he's gonna kill them both. But look at the banker's face right there. He looks a bit concerned, doesn't he?
To me, he looks brazen. It's like, yeah, looks like he's about to stand up to the with the way that they've just positioned. He's like, "You don't scare me." Now he's a little bit, a little.
Oh, please, don't kill me. At that instant, the door opened. The rest of the gang, having forced a cashier to open it, and the mob escapes with $11,000 in cash.
Well, nowadays we wouldn't consider that much, but back then that was probably like a couple million today.
Yeah. Well, if we had an inflation calculator, we could probably figure that out. But that goat had that, but we don't have it. So, but that would be, yeah, you're probably right. That would probably be quite a bit more today. That was quite a bit for back then, though. Anyways, a short time later, Scarnese stopped at a gas station in a Woodridge, Connecticut, intending to rob the man in charge. Inside were Louis Albino and his 18-year-old son. Now, I do not believe this is well. Okay, this is Louis Albino, not to be confused with Captain Lou Albano. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the wrestler.
Wrestler / manager, yeah. The father didn't raise his hands quick enough to suit Scarnese. All right, stick him up. So Scarnese killed him. The son saw his father drop. He turned to flee, but was also shot down.
Well, I just went and looked up quickly on the net an inflation calculator that $11,000 would be just approximately under $200,000, I guess, American today.
Wow, okay.
$197,377.96.
All right. So you were able to find the inflation calculator then, huh?
Yeah, I went to Yahoo, typed inflation calculator, and clicked one of them. So it's not quite as much as I thought it would have been, but still a nice chunk of change.
Yeah, StreamYard saying 0 people watching, and YouTube saying just 1 person watching, but I would think there'd be more people in here. But... All right, so let's see now. Oh yeah, Scarnese gang shifts its operation and kidnaps a Boston man named Roosteen. One peep, and I'll blast you. So now they're graduating from bank robbing now to extortion, kidnapping and extortion. A ransom note is sent to his family, and what does that? We want $40,000, or you won't see Rootstein alive. Look for another note. Rootstein is held in Nantasket for 6 days, eyes and mouth taped. Oh, look at that. But Scarnese senses that there has been a slip up. I think I'll scram. You guys can have my share of the ransom money. That's okay with us. How much longer can Scarnese keep clear of the law? Follow his mad career in the next issue. Continued. So.
Well, those guys are like, oh yeah, you can take off. We'll keep your thing. I'd be a little suspicious myself if the guy running things just suddenly said, "Yeah, I'm taking off. You can have my share."
Yeah, well, yeah, you know what they say. Sometimes if it looks too good to be true. Alrighty then. So that's all of the stories for tonight. How did you like those stories, Rick?
Good. Like I said, I think
you notice how I mixed up. We had a couple of humor stories. We had an anthropomorphic. We had a sci-fi adventure. We had a western. We had crime noir. So it was a good mix of stories there.
Yeah.
How did you like my voices?
Good. For sure.
And
I definitely want to go and look up that next issue and read some of those continuation of those stories. Even that Crime Buster one a little bit. I want to go see what happens. I'll probably have to read 2 or 3 issues,
Well, yeah. Well, again, you can go to that site I put up in the private chat, Comics Book Plus, and just look up. Go down to where it says Dell Western, and then go to the Funnies.
Yeah.
So just copy that link, and then
yeah. I have already saved it. The site in my favorites in my
all right. Because that site has a lot of the good a lot of the older public domain comics there. So, alrighty then. So, all right. So we're pretty much we're past the 2-hour mark. So I think we'll start to wrap up here. So one of the last things I do before I wrap things up is I do a segment called This Day in Each History. History, right? Today being Friday, July 15th. And of course, Rick, if you want to comment on any of these items as well, you're more than welcome to. As we're about to take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. And if you can stick around afterwards for just a couple minutes, that'd be appreciated.
Oh yeah, no problem, no problem.
Alrighty then. So let's see. So first off, we're going to head back 70 years ago today.
Ooh, 70 years ago.
As on this date, 70 years ago today, the 40th issue of Western Fighters from Hillman Comics. Oh, wait. Actually, before I even do this, I'm sorry. Before I even do this, there was actually one more thing I promised to show you. And anybody else who might have been interested. I'm sorry about that.
No problem, no problem. And that's about yeah, about comics, about approximately how many comics were coming out per year or per month at the beginning of, well, not the beginning of comics, because like I said, you can probably go back to like 1910 and you have a comic out or whatever. But I was wondering more when comics started coming out a lot on a monthly basis. And you were saying you
Okay,
started
so
back in
this
1933.
is the site I use to help organize. This is the site I use. Mike's amazing, and no, this is not me. This is another guy named Mike, by the way. But this is a site that I use a lot to help organize my material. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they have this section called newsstand right here,
Yeah.
and then you go to like. Now I usually exclude collections, exclude variants. So now I go by publication date because it's usually how they do chronologically here. Okay. So we'll start with, of course, January. So now this goes all the way back to 1933 right here.
Uh-huh.
All right. So filter. So January 1933, nothing
No
yet.
comment.
February, March, April 1933. Now this is based on the on sale date, not
Yeah.
the cover date. So this was one of the first. This on this one, even though there were some before this, Eastern Color was the first. Eastern Color was actually the first comic book company that that actually started publishing comics, but it wasn't a regular thing, as you see here.
Yeah.
Funnies on Parade #1, Eastern Color, 1933. Approximate on sale date April 1st, 1933. No price, 32 pages. First modern comic book giveaway. So this is kind of one of those. They just kind of were, again.
They just made it up and gave it away.
Right. It was kind of like an experiment, right? So continuing on here, then go through. So no comics, and again, since it was kind of an experimental thing, then you get like, so you had it back in April, now you have it in August. Famous Funnies, a Carnival of Comics #1. So that was like what, 4 months later.
Yeah, 4 or 5 months later.
So then then you got a couple months after that.
Yeah, they're coming out with number. They're coming out
Now
with
these
first issues.
particular comics were just giveaway comics. They weren't. They were like experiments. They were kind of like throwing them out there to see if people would actually be interested, right? So then we get into 1934. Now this I believe is probably the first actual comic book that actually was. Okay, yeah.
10 cents.
Yeah, it was 10. This was, and Maxwell Charles Gaines was the editor. Now, you probably heard me mention his name earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
Because this is the guy who went on to start up All American Publications, which would eventually be absorbed into DC. So, if you watched any of last week's episode, I talked quite a bit about this. But the note here for this, for Famous Funny Series 1, number one in parentheses there, which approximate on sale date March 1st, 1934, cover date May of 1934 from Eastern Color. The first comic book available for sale to the general public in a non-promotional capacity. So this is kind of like the first comic book right here that was for sale, that you actually had to go and buy at a newsstand.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just kind of breeze through the next couple of years here to where you can kind of see some of at least the early because early on here through 35, you'd have that stuff come out like here's another one. I don't know if it was this one. No prize. This was probably looks like another promotional giveaway. It looks like.
Well, it says comic strip reprint, so it probably
Right.
Well, it says no price, so it may have been sold. I think it was probably sold, but because it's reprints.
Yeah. So 34 there, and then here's Famous Funnies #1. This is okay. So this is probably the first regular series, and even to this day, and you had like some of these. Now, some of these would actually also go on to, like Ben Webster right there. By 39, he would be an All-American pub. For a while there, he was in Dell Comics, like Ben Webster, Mutt and Jeff right there. Those two were in, and Toonsville folks. Those were in Dell Comics for a while there. Bungle Family is now in. Some of these would move around. Some of these features would.
Yeah, they probably move around with the artist because the artist was owning the rights to them.
Right, but just to kind of give you again, I'm going to try to go. July 34. Things didn't really start to pick up on a regular basis. There's Famous Funnies #2 till 35. Eastern Color was the first company that was regularly featuring comics here, and up through 39. Like this is 1934 that Famous Funnies started, and up through 39 where we're at in March. This was still the only book Eastern Color was publishing at the time. One of 4 companies in 39 that was only publishing one book at that time.
Yeah. So now in January 35, we actually have 2 different two companies and 2 books.
Right.
Well, 2 books.
One company. Well, one book for each company. That Eastern Color publishing Famous Funnies, and then DC was starting with New Fun, which eventually became More Fun, and then More Fun Comics. And you see right there. And I'm just gonna.
So I would probably say January 1935 is when the real multiple
you had more of a competitive. You had 2 companies now, publishing books instead of just the one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say multiple comics being published a month.
Right.
And then it was built on that.
November of 35, that's when New Comics, which would eventually become New Adventure, which would eventually become Adventure Comics. Now, of course, early on here, give you an idea, look at how many stories you had. You had quite a number of stories there.
Yeah, 80 pages.
1 to 2 pages. A lot of these were 1 to 2 pages, and they were written more serially.
Yeah, it's page count 80 for 10 cents. Wow, that's just crazy.
Yeah. So, Famous Funnies is much the same way. You had a lot of stories there, a lot of features there. This is at a time when you had like high 20s, low 30s in terms of the numbers of stories, but they were all like 1 to 2 pages per story. They didn't start increasing until later. And you see here, you see now, at this point now, DC was publishing 2 books at this point, but Eastern Color was doing 1.
Yeah, by the end of 1935. Oh, and
Yeah.
4.
Well, now you have 3. Now you have 3 companies involved here because you have Eastern Color, DC,
Yeah.
and now okay, so this is actually January 36th when Dell got in. Now Dell Comics right here, Popular Comics. That was the first comic from Dell.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, like I'm saying, January 1935 is when I'd say things really started to take off for comic books.
and in March
Uh,
March of 36, things even expanded more as you had David McKay over here. You remember I told you that there was a King Comics right here?
yeah,
Here's King Comics #1 right here.
yeah,
And look who's on the cover there.
Popeye.
Because David McKay publication was the first company to feature the King Feature Syndicate characters in their comic, which included, of course, Popeye, the Phantom, Mandrake, the Magician, Flash Gordon. So they were the first company to focus on them. Tip Top Comics right here.
Yeah,
This was a company that had Tarzan. The other
yeah,
Edgar Rice Burroughs. You had, of course, DC with a couple. Here's Centaur Comics magazine right here, and they had a Doctor Occult. Now, Doctor Occult was technically in DC at this time, but they did bring one of the stories over here. But in this story they called him Doctor Mystic instead. Here, I'll even read off and as you can tell, 2 pages there. Comments. Story was in black
of
and white.
Earth 2.
The story was not published by DC. This and several other regular DC features appeared in this issue. It has been conjectured that their publication here was a result of financial troubles at National slash in parentheses DC. National was the name of the company at the time. It wasn't called DC at that point. Dr. Colt is renamed Dr. Mystic. So just to kind of give you, and I'm just wanting to I'm going to try to go through this a little quicker here. Won't stop.
Yeah,
but you can kind of see how things kind of just
progress
from
through
the mid 30s there, and then you have, of course, more here.
Yeah.
So you kind of get the idea, though, right?
Yeah. Well, I forget what point I was making earlier about when at first began comics on a regular basis. But obviously, January
1935, you could argue was probably okay. You could theoretically argue that buy comics was probably summer of 34, and then it really picked. Then you started having at least 2 companies publishing books in 35, and then by 36, that's really when things kicked in high gear.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not trying to discount the stuff from 34, but once you get like 2 comics coming out a month, and whether by the same company or not by the same company, to me, that's when you see the ball starting to roll, for lack of a word. And I'm not sure what my point was towards that from like half an hour, an hour.
To put it in a little bit of perspective here, Rick.
Yeah.
Like at the end of 38, right? At the end of 1938.
Yeah.
You had a total of 8 companies.
Yeah.
Publishing a total, not each, a total of 24 books.
Yeah.
Okay. You had Centaur was the most prolific of the companies with 6 titles, followed by Dell with 5, DC with 4. Then I think you had by the end of 38, 2 companies, I believe David McKay and United Feature Syndicate, each publishing 3 books, and then you had like 3 companies. with one book each. Eastern Color, as I mentioned, Quality and Fiction House. Okay. Now we come to March of 39, where we're at. Now you have 9 total companies, publishing a grand total of 28 books. Centaur still being the most prolific with 7 titles. King Comics adding King Comics there. Now these are monthly titles. We're talking. We're just monthly. We haven't even got to the point where we're seeing quarterly titles, come up yet. But that will start to change soon here as well. In 30, it was kind of a big year. You had, I know of at least 2 or 3 companies that started up. A number of different comics that also came into existence. Some of which also, ended as well. But you had like Centaur with 7, 6 for DC at this point, 5 for Dell and and 5 features were still 3. Now you had 4 companies who were just doing one book. Again, though, that would change by the end of 39 as Quality would add another title by the end of 39. I'll be talking about Fox next week with whoever I can get on. I'll probably talk to Shadow Hawk, see if he, and I'll probably will follow what you were suggesting, see about seeing if I can schedule some of these guys weeks in advance here, at least a couple weeks in advance, see how that all goes. Because I now kind of have the rotation down. It's just a matter of,
and you have enough people. It's just making sure, knowing when they're coming on,
Yeah.
And that they know, a couple weeks in advance.
Let's again get back to this day and age. Because I did promise to kind of show you.
Yeah, and thank you. I'm gonna have to go back at some point and try and figure out what my point was about that. When I was talking about it, just when you went on your break there for a second about multiple comics, a month. But anyways, niche history.
Yeah. So, anyways, going back 70 years ago here, what the 40th issue of Western Fighters from Hillman Comics went on sale on this date, 10 cents. Of course, I would imagine that again, I haven't actually read this comic or even read the synopsis because but I will, as we do the historical when we get there this time around. Now, here's the thing too. One of the points about this: in the late 40s and early 50s, Western comics started, becoming more popular at this point.
Yeah.
So
the superhero genre fell off. That's when Marvel, when it was Timely or Atlas, they stopped producing that stuff, and DC kept on producing their like Superman and Batman type stuff.
Right, so on this date, 70 years ago today, the 40th issue of Western Fighters and Hillman Comics went on sale on this date. So now, moving on, next piece in each history.
Da-da-da-da-da-da!
All right, so on this date, 10 years ago today, back in 2012, WWE held its Money in the Bank event from the U.S. Airways Center in Phoenix, Arizona. You see, of course, Alberto Del Rio on the poster there, on the promotional poster, and then John Cena won the 5-man Money in the Bank ladder match for the WWE Championship over Big Show, Miz, Kane, Chris Jericho. You saw Tamina Snuka, Caitlyn, and Layla defeat Beth Phoenix, Natalia, and Eve Torres in a 6-woman. Ryback defeated Kurt Hawkins and Tyler Rex in a handicap match. Let's see. CM Punk retained the WWE Championship over Daniel Bryan in a no DQ match with AJ Lee as the special guest. Now, as I recall, at some point, I don't know if it had come to this. Actually, it might have been at some point after this, but eventually AJ Lee became CM Punk's wife. They eventually got married. So, saw Sheamus retain the World Heavyweight Championship over Alberto Del Rio. For a WWE Championship contract. That's right, for the Money in the Bank. I said for the WWE Championship. And then in an 8-man tag, 8-man Money in the Bank ladder match for the World Heavyweight Championship contract, Dolph Ziggler defeated Damian Sandow, Christian, Santino Marella, Tensai, Tyson Kidd, Cody Rhodes, and Sin Cara. And then the pre-show saw Kofi Kingston and R-Truth defeat Hunico and Camacho. So that's all that went down at the Money in the Bank 2012. And 2012 is just so nice that we got to hit it twice. As one other thing happened on Sunday, July 7th, 2012. I will show you that in a moment. As on Adult Swim, the series Black Dynamite debuted. Black Dynamite television series debuted on this date in 2012. The pilot episode was done on August 11th, but the official run started on this date in 2012.
Cool.
So there's
there's an almost a year difference between that pilot and.
Mm-hmm. And then, last but not least, 5 years ago today, a pair of anime premiered over in Japan. Or actually, these are anime movies. As the film, the anime films No Game No Life Zero from Kadokawa Animation and Pokemon the movie I Choose You from OLM both debuted on this date 5 years ago today. So 5 years ago today, the anime movies No Game No Life Zero and Pokemon the movie I Choose You both debuted on this date. So there we go with this day in each history. I thank everybody for being here tonight. Rick, I thank you for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed the content tonight. We went kind of long, I know, coming up on 2.5 hours here. I hope everybody got a lot out of it. I hope that it sparked some interest. Maybe you guys might want to go and try to track down some of this stuff yourself. And with that, I shall end the stream. I thank everybody for being here. Rick, if you'll stick around for just a couple minutes to wrap things up.
Definitely.
So, anyways, I will. Don't forget, Monday we'll be back doing our normal Niche newscast. Next Friday we'll be continuing our coverage of March 1939. I'll probably, hopefully by Monday, know who will be co-hosting once I get all that settled. So until then, guys, I will see you on Monday. Bye.